Hey everyone, I'm Zachary,
And I'm Garrett.
and we are the two principal consultants here at EOS Experiential Consulting.
And we want to bring new life to your experiential programs. Today, we've got a little discussion for you. We're going to just talk back and forth about partnership organizations in some of that experiential programming.
For sure. This is one of my favorite topics. So I'm glad you brought this one up today, Garrett.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know that you have a lot of experience in it. I know that you've had a lot of networking back and forth and wanting to bring that kind of exclusive thing to inclusive, right? You want to make sure that we're all rising up, as we all should be, as we all do, right? I know that at a couple of facilities that I've worked with, we've done some partner organization programs that I absolutely love. Sometimes we would have just the oh Lord, the organic farmers just a couple miles down the road would bring in some of their organic produce, and we would talk about it, just a little bit of that shared community type of thing.
Yeah.
I know that you've worked with a lot of really big picture people, though.
Yeah, I would say most of the time, when we've been at facilities together, it's really derived out of need more than it is out of any just goodwill even, right? It's us saying, okay, we need to get a program up and running, right? We don't have the funding or the resources to
Yeah,
make that happen, right? Whether it's time, whether it's labor, whatever it may be. How can we shine a light on a like-minded organization, either in our community, in our region, in our state, or really just even in our industry, right? I think
yeah,
so
yep,
many opportunities here virtually now. You can have partners all the way across the country, across the globe, right? But I think this is a really cool topic because it shows the diversity of experiential education. It shows the diversity even within sort of these defined industries, right? Whether it's zoos, aquariums, science centers, museums, outdoor rec camps, right? They all have these partners and these synergistic opportunities with other organizations, right?
yeah, absolutely. And that's actually something that years and years ago, when we first started to get into this, that was the thing that made me so excited, was to give forward what I didn't get as a kid. Those kinds of things they weren't highlighted as well as they could have been, for sure, at least in my area. And I was really, really excited to give that to the children of that area, right? So being able to not only, you're at a zoo. No, you're not just going to be educated about this particular animal, or hell, even then we might not have even had interpreters that we ever saw.
Right.
But now, I really loved being able to, like I said, learn a little bit about agriculture while you're here at a zoo, of all things. Learn little bit about birds of prey, because we've called in a local aviation specialist. No, a falconry specialist was what he was. Yeah.
Let's take a moment and dive deep into what that particular program looked right with the farmers market. So that was part of our Lagniappe series. Am I saying that right? I think I'm still going to butcher that.
No, you got that one. That one.
It's something a little extra, right? Yeah. When I went to the South, I butchered it every time. But it's really just providing something extra, right? And taking what would be a normal day at that facility, which was a zoo, and giving them some different adjacent programming that was still conservation based, right? It was still outdoor education, right? So this one was highlighting the sustainability of farmers markets in particular, right? So we got a couple local people that all kind of worked together, brought them in, and literally had a farmers market on site, right? Which was great. So under the Ed Pavilion, we were able to get all of these different partners. One, we were able to support our local businesses and our local communities, right? They were able then to share and network with their contacts and with their clients about the mission of the zoo, right? So there's a win-win there for everybody involved. But then it's also able to take this topic, and my educators weren't experts in that by any means, but they were experts in interpretation, right? So they came up with some activities and some games that coincided with the mission and the topic of farmers markets, right? And then when they came in, the experts were able to highlight sustainable practices that are utilized and the conservation efforts that we know are being, sort of really pushed by these micro farms, right? So that was a really cool synergy, I think, between outside education resources and internal use of that labor pool, which we know every education facility will say, I don't need a better facility. I don't need this. I just need more hours for my staff, right? I need more staff
Right.
to get in front of more people. And that's how we're going to increase our mission-based programming. So that was a really cool program, something super easy, cost the zoo nothing, was able to provide them, right? With just a little bit of insight, right? And that's really kind of where I think we can go today, is highlighting different opportunities, maybe spark an idea for any of our clients or any of our viewers on how they can provide that resource within their own facility, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And I mean, that's what the whole purpose of any of these chats are, right? It's just to kind of reflect and push forward. And I love it. Yeah. And everything that you just mentioned was something that I love. I absolutely love, like I said at the beginning, taking this thing that like it was exclusive. If you wanted to know any of that, you had to go to a farmer's market, ask the actual, farmers, ask the people growing their product, how does this work? How does this look? So on and so forth. It was fantastic to be able to go to one place that you already love, you already know, you're already going to make a day of this thing. And all of a sudden now it's different. Next month it's different again. Yeah. And it really provides this kind of feeling too of community, and
community.
Both. What's that?
Yeah, the community aspect is huge.
Oh, it's massive. It's massive. Yeah. And, you could feel it too. When you were in the presence of that, in that moment, you could actually feel all of these different knots and everything kind of coming together. And I love that moment. It means a lot to me, maybe, just because of where it was or where I am, but and what I did or didn't have growing up for those reasons. But it was such a major moment to see, yeah, here's just one more person that we can bring into this zoo family, right? Here's just one more group, one more organization that 3 months down the road, yeah, if we need to do something similar to this, or if we want to change it a little bit, if they want to have this big farmers market bonanza and they want us to come out and do something with them, yes, please, let's continue this relationship. Let's grow together. Let's better our community forward. And yeah, it's something that's, I don't feel as though I don't see it enough, personally. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, again, I think it all comes down to, I think I touched on it a little bit at the beginning, where it's really born out of necessity, right? And okay, we got to have a new opportunity, a new program for our clients and for our guests visiting our facilities. But then how do we execute that, right? And the logistics can really easily bog you down. What I loved about that particular series, and really about engaging outside external partnerships to help facilitate internal programs, right, is the ability to leverage their own resources, right? They're the experts in the topic, right? They may have more staff and more facilitators, more educators even than your particular team, but you're able to leverage those resources and provide a novel experience for your own guest, right? So we had members that would come out for these specific series. We'd have walk-in day guests that would come out for these specific series. And each of them would walk away saying, hey, that was the highlight of my day, right? Whether you're a new face or a returning face, it was something new and engaging and exciting. And for me, it was really just about managing the logistics of getting their staff cleared to come on, to getting their resources cleared to come on to our site, right? But then really managing what that timeline, that schedule looked like once they were there, right? Once you've done that, once you've set up a process by which vendors can be onboarded onto your facility, how they get onto the facility, all the logistics that come with it, it really smooths out the process and makes future endeavors much easier, right? So that's something that we tend to help our clients with, is creating their own framework, because we know every facility is different, right? And that's the opportunity for them to engage with this sort of process, which is super helpful. So I would agree that there's that hesitancy, right, to jump into it, to take that initial plunge. Start small though. Start with somebody maybe that you have a close working relationship already, so that you can limit any of those barriers of access, and then just take that first plunge, right? Set the expectations low. Don't even market it to your clients or your guests that are coming on. Just let it be a lanyard. Let it be something extra. They show up and they're surprised, right? Because if they show up and they don't expect it, you're going to achieve their expectations, right? No matter what you do. And then once you feel comfortable and confident in it, then you can start to market it as a weekly or a monthly or a bi-monthly event. And that's where you can get really cool programming opportunities and really increase, all sorts of revenue streams from it. So for any new facility that's thinking, okay, hey, I'm tapped out what I can do on site with my resources, right? Whether that's funding or whether that's staff, right? Whether that's just the space in the facility, I'm tapped. This is all I can do, right? How would you advise them to take that leap into partnership-based programming, right? How would you encourage them to find organizations in their region and their community that can help them leverage their opportunities further?
Yeah. So I think a lot of it we've already talked about, right? It's finding who you think one is like-minded to you, how closely can our two goals, intertwine, and what kind of bond can we form and actually show off in this moment. So identify who's in your market and identify who is adjacent to your market. Those are your people that I think would be the fastest to be able to actually get into these roles and start fostering these relationships. Mm-hmm. So once you've identified them, it's about getting to them, right? It's all about the communication. It's about the pitch of what it is. It's about what you want to do moving forward. Mm-hmm. You go into your information phase, right? And how does this better you? How does this better me? And how does this better the community as a whole? And so long as you know the answer to those questions, you're already going to be in a great place when you go to the communication step. Yeah. So we've identified who we're going to talk to. We know what we're going to talk about, why it's beneficial for everyone involved. And the rest of it is that negotiation, fostering what is it going to be, when is it going to be, where is it going to be, right? And once you've hammered out all these details, you put it into effect. And if it goes wonderfully, fantastic. If you only get 5 people to engage with it, fantastic. Mm-hmm. Because in this moment, it's less about, what happened in the new, but it's the fact that you were able to foster that relationship. 3 months down the road, you might see an explosion. 6 months down the road, you might flip over and now you've sent some people to their facility, right? And yeah, it's, you mentioned, what if we're a facility where we just don't have that kind of capability? What if we're not that? Well, that's a big part of what we talked about. You do not have to reach just in your local market. There are further reaching things that you can do. There are big names that are absolutely willing to work with so many different organizations. We did a nature play thing, and it was just a simple little. We had the agreement. We got some of their information. Mm-hmm. We were able to kind of put their name on the product and just build this fun little thing that kids could come and engage with. No rules, play, have fun, ask a question if you want to, and it wasn't anything. It was just that little bit of what it needed to be, right? So there's always something you can do. And I think for this one, it boils down to gumption and communication.
Yeah. That little bit of R&D phase is definitely worth the opportunities that it sets up in the future, right? And that's most of what it is you're taking the moment now to kind of prepare yourself for synergistic opportunities moving forward, whether it's on-site, virtually, off-site. There's so many cool ways to engage. The one thing that I would kind of like wrap up with in summation is the value of the marketing aspect here, right? So your marketing budget is something that is typically much larger than your education program budget, right? And when you can infuse those two and have it work in both ways, then it can be really beneficial to everybody, right? So this is a great way to leverage your social media accounts. This is a great way to leverage opportunities within the community. You think about these partnership organizations, right? That's that word of mouth that we know is so vital, right? for getting new users to engage with your facility, whether that's people in the community or tourism, whatever your driving factor is. Word of mouth, we know, is so critical. And this is how you begin that process, right? Is by getting community buy-in on different aspects. So you may get a farmer's market, or you may get a fisheries and wildlife, or you may get a local park to support your facility by engaging with them and supporting them in their mission-based, right? So think about those opportunities, and then think about the reach that you can have. We know when anytime there's any sort of budgetary cuts, marketing is typically the first one that gets cut because we don't see the tangible effects of it immediately, right? It's typically something that's pushed down the road. But any marketing manager, marketing director, communications team will tell you that when you do that, you're just spiting yourself for the future, right? You end up putting yourself at a loss. So think about the net positives of providing new resources and new community flows, new demographics, seeing your product, seeing your client, seeing your programs in a really new light, and then the novel experience for the people on site, right? So you're able to track that data, you're able to see how they engage in some pretty exciting ways. And then, of course, the mission-based gains that come along from that. So there's some really cool opportunities, I think, with partnership programming. And that's what we'd like to see more of in the community, is taking that initial step, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, anything that can come from the community to help foster the community, I think is going to, it always looks good. It always feels good for the guests to engage with, and it can benefit you in such major ways. It's kind of a no-brainer, you know?
Everyone, Zachary again, thank you so much for stopping by today. Hope you enjoyed the video and you were able to take away some insights on how we would tackle the problem of being first time jumping into partnership programming, or kind of moving forward, how you would engage more. So if you get a chance, comment down below, let us know what you would love to do for your next partnership-based programs, on-site, off-site, virtually perhaps, and then like and share the video with other institutions that you think could find it as a resource. We'll see you all next week.